Good morning, kids. Glad to be with you today, talking again about one of my favorite stories in the Bible and illustrating that story in a way that I think you will find helpful to understand it. One of my favorite stories comes from the book of 1 Samuel, the 16th chapter. And what has happened, what the context of that story is that King Saul is the first king of Israel, and he has been a disappointment to everyone, but especially to God. And so God has asked Samuel, his prophet, to go and to anoint a new king. And he has sent Samuel to the city of Bethlehem and to a shepherd there who had 8 sons and whose name was Jesse. And so Samuel traveled to Bethlehem, went to see Jesse and said, "Jesse, I have come to celebrate a feast to the Lord with you and your sons. I would like to meet your sons." And so Jesse had 7 of his sons there, and the first oldest son was named Eliab. Now, Eliab was a big guy. And he was strong, muscles bulging out all over the place. And Samuel looked at him and said, "Wow, the Lord's anointed surely." But then he heard the voice of God. And the voice of God said, "Samuel, do not look on outward appearances. God looks upon the heart." Eliab is not the one. And so Samuel says, "Introduce me to your next son." And the next son was introduced. And again, some people just look smart. And that's what Jesse's second son looked like. He just looked smart. And Samuel says, "I understand where God's going with this. Okay." And the voice of God again speaks to Samuel. "Samuel, do not look on outward appearances. Look upon the heart." Can you believe it? All 7 sons that were introduced to Samuel heard God say each time, "Don't look on the outward appearances. Do what I do. Look upon the heart." Well, Samuel scratches his head and he doesn't see any other sons here. And he says, "Jesse, do you have any other sons?" And Jesse says, "Yeah, the youngest is out taking care of the sheep. His name is David." And Samuel said, "Well, we're not going to sit down to any feast until you bring him here." And so everyone waited until a servant is sent out to go get David and bring him into the house. And David had to wash up his face and his hands a moment, and he came and presented himself before Samuel. And God said, "I'm looking upon the heart. And here's a man who has a heart after God." Let me illustrate what I've been saying with these 2 sponge balls. You'll see these 2 sponge balls are about the same. They're not identical, but they're both red and about the same size. But if I take both sponge balls and pass them through my hand, you'll be able to see what's inside each one. And so let's just do that. We'll take them and just put it in my hand like that, and we'll see that one of the sponge balls at heart really is green with envy. Envy is not an attitude that's going to be one that's going to honor God. But the other had a heart that was a growing heart toward God. That's what God wanted Samuel to understand and wants us to understand. Don't look on outward appearances. Look upon the heart. That's what matters. And having a growing heart toward God, that's the blessing of all. I hope you enjoyed this lesson today. Make it your own. Don't look on outward appearances, but upon the heart. God bless.